Tonight on America's Dumbest Criminals, a small town terrorized by a big pig, a hard-hitting reminder about why you should always wear a helmet, and a flare-up at a funeral home. For high-octane entertainment, don't move a muscle. You're about to witness America's Dumbest Criminals.
Delta 1566, give me a call on your primary.
Now, welcome your host for America's Dumbest Criminals, Daniel Butler and Debbie Allen.
Yeah.
True confessions time.
What? You have something you want to share?
No,
What?
it's your turn.
No.
Oh, no.
No,
yes,
no.
yes. Okay.
What?
Think back. When you were in college, did you ever engage in a panty raid?
Oh, no, not in college. A couple of weeks ago, but no. I never, I'm not really a stand outside a dorm and yell for someone's underwear kind of guy, no.
Good.
I probably would have stood outside and yelled for someone to do my laundry, you know,
Yeah,
but
that
no,
figures.
not that. But did you ever get panty raided? Did you ever drop underwear down?
You've got to understand now, I went to a very conservative school. I think I would have gotten kicked out of my college for even saying the word underwear.
Oh, okay. But you could say
Not
under
allowed.
and wear, but not together.
Not together.
Okay.
Okay, our idea of rebelliousness, I think, was loud whispering in the library. If you were too loud.
That was conservative. So obviously we are not people who live on the edge.
But there are those who grab for the gusto and for other things as well. If you need evidence, check this out.
The man you're watching is under surveillance by undercover officers in the underwear division of the New Sewickley, Pennsylvania Police Department. And yes, he is conducting a panty raid.
He even confronted our victim the very first time. They looked each other in the face and had this amazing shock upon his face, but he still came back.
The trap was set after the owner filed a complaint that this guy returned on a weekly basis.
You can see him grabbing the panties. And that's when you seen two men, of course, I was dressed in plain clothes. We dodged out the door, yelled, "Police, free, stop."
The police clotheslined him and hauled him in. At first, he claimed that the lingerie made good slingshots, but eventually confessed to the theft and was placed in the Beaver County Jail.
Daniel.
That's true. That is true. It's true.
Continuing our revealing look at the relationship between the underworld and undergarments, we moved to Delray Beach, Florida.
Where law enforcement officers have an unfortunately close encounter with an ex-con they call the poopatrator.
Hi, I'm Jeff Messer with the Delray Beach, Florida Police Department, and I've got a dumb criminal story for you guys. Several years ago, we had a gentleman do a burglary, and while in the home doing his burglary, he was confronted by the homeowner. When confronted, he kind of lost control of himself, I guess we could say, and had to leave the home in a hurry. He ran from the home. He unloaded his pants and his underwear, left the underwear, put his pants back on, and fled the area. We found his underwear and the evidence we felt we needed in the underwear. Along with the underwear, we found that they were his prison underwear with his name and prison ID number etched in them. And we eventually caught up with him, and he was given the nickname the poopatrator from there on.
The first rule of getaways is this: never leave a man behind. So if indeed there is honor among thieves, you should be able to count on the driver of the getaway car to come back for you, even if it takes a while. It's that by-the-book thinking that resulted in these guys getting booked when they had every opportunity to flee the scene.
Several years ago, when I was assigned to patrol division as a lieutenant, we had an occasion to have a break-in call at a local business one night. Our officers responded over there pretty quick. We were able to catch one suspect still at the scene. Two others, at least, had run from the scene. We felt certain, but the one suspect was apprehended there, and we got his car at the scene. So we left the scene, transported our prisoner in, and we assigned Officer Haley Smith to the police department to drive the suspect vehicle in. As evidence of the crime, the vehicle was going to be impounded and used later on in court. Officer Smith was driving the car in 2 to 3 blocks from the location of the break-in on Fisher Street here in Burlington. We got a radio call from him on his walkie-talkie indicating there was some problem. He was being stopped by some individuals out there on the street. It turned out the 2 suspects had fled from us on that occasion, had been hiding in the bushes in the area, saw the car coming. They apparently thought if we seized the car, we'd be towing it in by recklessly driving it in. They thought their getaway man had somehow gotten away from us and were driving down Fisher Street, and they had flagged him down in order to get away from the theft scene. We, of course, arrested those 2 along with the initial person, had all 3 of our people rounded up. Very successful case.
The great thing about cell phones is that they allow your friends and business associates to catch up with you anywhere. Well, the bad thing about cell phones, if you're a criminal, is that they allow your pursuers to catch up with you anywhere. See what we mean.
Several months back, I had a rookie riding with me, training, and we were going out one of the small streets out west, and watched a guy take off from a residence. He popped in a couple of wheels on a motorcycle, just driving real reckless went through a red light. So decided to stop him. He's going to just wind up getting a warning, or for the way he was driving. Turned my lights on. He turned around and looked at me, and he just took off. So we ended up chasing him probably 20, 25, 30 miles. He wrecks out in a little country area north of our jurisdiction, and he wrecked in the curb. Before we could get to the curb, he just slid off the road, and we never saw him. We went right on by him. And another officer come up and found the motorcycle. So we all fanned out, and the county agencies were out there, and we surrounded the little wooded area he was in, and went through the woods and couldn't ever find him. I stand on the perimeter of the woods, and we heard a cell phone ring. So we was all looking in this area, and heard it ring again. And I heard somebody say, "Hello?" "Hey, he's up here." And sure enough, he was up in the tree, and we told him, we said, "You need to come down that tree." He said, "I'm not coming down till the news crew's leaving." We said, "Well, you're up the tree. You don't really have much of a choice. You can either come down or we can take the tree down."
At that time, we cordially coaxed him down the tree and took him into custody and brought him back in and booked him into jail.
While we're looking at the greatest dummies on 2 wheels, let's take off in another direction. We're going to LA to pick up on a reckless chase with an ending that is anything but reckless.
A reckless guy on a motorcycle breaks every rule in the driver's manual, including zooming along at up to 130 miles an hour in a futile attempt to escape from police. Realizing that speed alone was getting him nowhere fast, he opted for an off-ramp, and then he caught a bus. Ouch! You'd have thought he'd throw in the towel, but he still resisted arrest. Eventually, he was cuffed and taken away, suffering only a contusion to his forehead, even though his speedometer froze at 55 miles an hour upon impact. Amazingly dumb, huh?
Next thing you know, I'm looking in the rearview mirror and I see him collide with the bus. Well, that was insane, man.
It's what he hits, just bounced.
No, it's actually not that hard. I've been hit harder.
We doubt the guy on the cycle could say the same. If you think he's got headaches, check out this next couple.
While on routine patrol on 51598, there was given a call of a domestic dispute on 479 Metcalf Street. Upon arrival, found a female standing in the yard being rather belligerent.
He's not going nowhere.
Yes, he is. He can leave. We cannot make him stay, and neither can you.
I can press charges, and I know he goes to jail because I called the
you're not
Custer
listening
County
to me,
courthouse
ma'am.
today.
You cannot make him stay here.
No, but I know he can go to jail for domestic battery if both of us have to go. Both of us will go.
No, you don't make the laws. The laws are made and we enforce them.
She said she wanted him to go to jail. And I said I didn't have grounds to take him to jail again. When I finally got the husband over and talked to him, I noticed his shirt was somewhat in disarray and torn.
Just chill out now there and everything's going to be cool, okay?
And I asked him what had happened, and he stated that she had ripped it off of him.
And I come up here to get the rest of my clothes. She hit me in my face 5 times, and I'm a man. They don't nobody hit me in my face.
She had said, "Well, what about all the drugs he's got in the house?" And I said, "Okay, what about him?" She said, "Do you want to see him?" I said, "Yes." We confiscated drug paraphernalia, seeds, 3 potted plants of marijuana, and a white substance weed. Didn't have enough evidence to ascertain whether it was cocaine or not.
I'm going to have a seat in my car. Yeah, you are. Possession of drugs, both of y'all are.
This man's getting his drugs. He run out there and hid his drugs. He says he goes to Aaron's and smokes with him and his daddy. Aaron said that's all a lie. So all he's doing is lying on people.
Listen
Your
to
daddy
me.
don't want you, son.
She just wanted him to go to jail. She was telling us about, it was funny in a way, she kept telling us about all the charges he had against him in Florida for child abuse, etc. And we kept telling her that has nothing to do with what's going on here, you know? She wanted us to find some reason to take him to jail, so eventually she gave us the reason.
And now with news that Dan Rather had rather not report, here's Daniel with ADC Headlines.
The debate continues over the value of private citizens owning firearms. But what about your right to own vegetables? A man in New York drew 18 years to life in prison for robbing his victim with a concealed vegetable. Yes, the robber brandished a zucchini under his coat, leading his victim to believe he was being held at gunpoint. At the sentencing, Justice Randall Ng scolded the accused, saying, quote, "You added to the climate of fear we have to live in now." So, and also some innocent bystanders screamed, "Look out, he's got a zucchini and he knows how to use it." A bank robber in Virginia Beach, Virginia, forced a teller to fill a plastic grocery sack with money, unaware that a dye bomb was placed in his haul as well. The crook then shoved, you guessed it, the bag into his pants and fled. Moments later, the dye pack activated a chemical reaction which, according to police, creates about 400 degrees of heat. Okay, witnesses to the robber's getaway told investigators they saw the explosion taking place inside the man's pants, and the crook immediately shed his trousers, which were confiscated with a hole seared through the, I guess you could call it the crotch. As of this report, the criminal has not been apprehended, but is most certainly a marked man. Yeah. If it's a problem to get to the criminal, ask the criminal to come to you. That was the thinking of police in Keene, New Hampshire, when they were alerted that a parole violator in their midst was considered armed and dangerous. Upon discovering that the man had taken a job delivering pizza, the officers simply placed an order and waited for him to arrive at a specified address. Vámonos. He was easily taken into custody, and according to published reports, miraculously, the small cheese pizza was returned to the pizza parlor unharmed. That's a wrap for ADC Headlines. What do you got, Debbie?
Daniel, how many times have you seen that tense scene in a cops and robber movie where a police officer says to the criminal, "Put your weapon on the counter and move away"? Well, we've got some surveillance camera footage that's like that, only there's no police officer, just a crook who seriously underestimates his victim. This robber thinks he's big stuff with his rifle in his hand. But what happens when he and the clerk engage in a little role reversal? Suddenly, the robber is even more motivated to leave the store than he was to come in. And that's in spite of the fact that the clerk offers to return the criminal's weapon one bullet at a time.
In the old TV show, The Dukes of Hazzard, the good old boys were always on the lookout for Boss Hogg. Well, citizens in Anniston, Alabama had their own Boss Hogg to contend with. Except this troublemaker was a real pig.
We got a call, several calls about some animal, unknown creature going through gardens, tearing up the gardens. They thought it was dogs going through and tearing up their garden. We got calls of garbage being turned over. Of course, she assumed dogs. And we searched and searched, could never find any loose dogs. Never saw any loose animals of any kind that we could find, but it was all in the same neighborhood. The people that were calling and complaining only lived about a block from this ravine where the actual perpetrator was residing.
And for probably a couple of weeks, we were on the hot trail of an animal that was unknown to us at the time. It was coming up in a residential area that was getting into garbage cans, eating items out of people's gardens, tearing up trash and things like that. It turned out to be a individual's pet, which was a pot-bellied pig. Early in the mornings in a very heavily traveled residential area, he was stopping traffic. We jumped him several times. Actually could not catch him. He outran us.
By this time, the pig had gained some notoriety. One of our local radio stations, K98, had put a bounty on the pig's head. Said he'd get paid anybody $98 that could bring the pig up there and let him pet it. And people were calling every day asking, have you caught the pig? Have you caught the pig? Everybody that saw me in town, have you caught the pig? Have you caught the pig? And
we had some people that were real concerned for the pig. It's going to get hurt, and some other people just having fun with it. So we took out the K98 prize van. We took out the PA system. We had hog calling contests. Everybody trying to call the hog in, suey pig,
And with the help of the citizens, after the end of about 2 weeks, it was caught by the citizen and his wife, who later adopted the pig.
After we got her, she's such a nice pet, we just kept her, she's unbelievable.
Some things seem like bad ideas from the start, like playing in traffic or swimming during a thunderstorm.
Yeah, you and the WNBA. Or placing...
That's a bad idea.
It would be. I mean, come on. But placing complicated food orders at the drive-through window, huh?
It's true. Why is that so hard?
Oh, you don't do that, do you?
Well, no, but I do like certain things. I like my condiments stacked in order.
Oh, okay.
Lettuce, pickle, onion, tomato.
Ooh, Martha Stewart. Okay, you're asking for trouble, Debbie.
Well, if that's asking for trouble, then our next crooks ordered a double helping of danger. Watch as tonight's edition of We're Not Making This Up provides strong evidence that man has not evolved well through the centuries.
We're on location at Gober Funeral Chapel. Last fall, we had two individuals decided they needed some gas. They decided to stop by here, siphon some gas out of the van. They didn't have any luck siphoning, so they took a gas can, stuck it up under the van, took a big buck knife, poked a hole in the gas tank. About that time, a lady that works here drove up. They ran around here to the side of the building and hid in the bushes. Stayed in the bushes until the lady left, which was about 10 minutes. At that time, they came back around to the van. One of them had a Zippo lighter, and they couldn't see how much gas it had in the can, so he took the Zippo lighter out of his pocket, ignited the gas. Both vans caught on fire. They tried to stomp it out, and at that time, it got away from them. They decided they ran, got in their car, and left. Both vans burned up. Funeral home burnt. It done $60,000 worth of damage to the funeral home. Seen a lot of dumb things happen in the line of police work. So far, this one takes the cake.
It's flashlight. Flashlight comes in handy. We don't always go out in a blaze of glory, but it looks like we will this time. Join us next time when we'll find a burglar who hopes to get rich but ends up getting the shaft.
And if you've got a lead on the story, or you just can't wait till next week for more state-of-the-art stupidity, visit our website at www.dumbcrimes.com.
We want to thank you for joining us and extend our gratitude to the law enforcement officers who make this show possible. Every day, they lay their lives on the line to keep us safe from the stupidity of would-be criminals.
As always, we hope everybody has learned from others' mistakes.
But if you haven't, we just might see you next week on America's Dumbest Criminals.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Closed captioning provided by